So here we go then. Welcome to another edition of the Kings of Anglia Fan Social, the show where the KOA Army share their thoughts on all things town. And, hope you have all had a good week. I've had a good week, if you were asking, but I'm sure you were. But yes, it's been a week of a town draw against Sheffield Wednesday. Won't talk about the offside because it happened. And, of course, town finally beat Arsenal's kids the third time they're trying in the Plymouth Trophy, the Pizza Trophy. But this is going to be a great show. We've got lots to talk about, a lot of talking points. I'm joined by three gentlemen who've got very something in common. We've got Dan, Liam, and Peachy. And the thing in common is at some point in their lives, they're giving me a lift to a football game or a lift home. The first man is Dan, who is joining us. Good old cricket fella. Dan, and you gave me and Liam a lift to, I think, the opening game of the season, I think it was the opening game against Bolton. Me and Liam were waiting at the bus stop, the park and ride in Kesgrave, and we saw this random car pull up, and a man was approaching us, and we went, "Oh, it's Dan!" And you gave us a nice little lift, my friend. So you got that stuff in common with Liam and Peachy, because we'll get to Peachy in a second, but Liam, of course, is very known as my main taxi man. But Dan, anyway, enough of that. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good. You have to get an Uber next time.
Yeah, I don't think we get Ubers in Ipswich at the moment. I don't think it reaches this far yet. I think we're still very much lastminute.com on that. I think we've got Uber Eats and Deliveroo and all that, but I don't know if we can get it just yet. But we'll wait and see, my friend. It's always a pleasure. The man that's joining you, and you're joining me in that lift with the Dan-mobile and your good son as well. Liam from Crewe. How you doing, my friend? I know you're a bit under the weather, but you're joining us for this great chat.
Yeah, full of cold, but that's what you get when you come back from Sheffield, I guess. Last time I came back from Sheffield, I had COVID, so don't seem to do very well with Sheffield. But just a little bit on that anecdote. I was the one who spotted Dan getting out of the car, and I thought, is that Dan? Well, you were kind of like, had no idea until he was pretty much right next to us. And then you went, oh, is that Dan?
Yeah.
But yeah. And I've also just taken you to Tesco about an hour before this, so the taxi fun doesn't stop.
Yeah, we did and people, little inside information here. Me and Liam do a nice little Tesco shop together. He does his shop, I do my shop, and we just have a little chinwag, buy our vegetables, buy our Jaffa cakes and all that. It's always good fun. But always a pleasure, my friend. And the final man that is joining us is good old Peachy, the man who gave me a lift home to add to the list of many people I owe lifts to. Gave me a nice lift home on Tuesday night after the Papa John's Trophy win. How are you doing since then, my friend?
I'm very well. I'm glad to join this illustrious list of, people who give Ross a lift. Obviously, you'll be returning the favour. You can take back to Newmarket after one game when he passed his driving test. But yeah, it's good fun. Went to the other end of Ipswich and then only took me an hour and a half to get home because some lovely A14 closures. But you expect that on Tuesday night, don't you? Yes. Yeah, I'm good. Looking forward to chatting all things Ipswich as usual with you three fine fellas.
Oh, always a pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure. The Peachmeister, the Peachmeister, Chris Peachy. And Dan, Liam, Peach, let's talk all things town then. Let's get right into our snap thoughts from the results this week. Of course, the Desmond draw against Sheffield Wednesday and the Papa John's Trophy win. Dan, I'll let you start off, really. Where do you want to go first? Both different games, because Sheffield Wednesday was a massive game in League One for us. Two big sides in the division. And the Arsenal game was the Arsenal game. But where do you want to start, my friend?
Let's start with this Wednesday. Let's get that out of the way. I think, obviously, on reflection, you change, don't you? But I mean, at the time, it just felt like a defeat, and that would have been my snap judgment. I mean, looking back on it, I'm honest with you. I think it's annoying we didn't win, but on reflection, it just shows how far we've come under McKenna. When you think about it, we're still we're still unbeaten. We're still top of the league. We're scoring goals. We're 2-0 up at a rival in a pretty raucous atmosphere, and we keep the run going. I mean, yeah, it could have been more. The way I look at it as well is it in a way. I mean, the moment that Wednesday equalised, I think, was the moment that Portsmouth equalised against Plymouth. So actually, in context, that was the kind of one thing that kept me going, was actually no one's crept up on us, even if we haven't pulled away from anyone. But there were things about it. I mean, looking back on it, I'm really pleased for Caden Jackson. McKenna again proving what he sees on the training ground can go a long way, and he scored a really lovely finish, which is, I think, great for his confidence. I think it's great that Edmondson comes back in for Burgess and runs 25 yards and has the confidence to do that as well. So, disappointing. I mean, I think, if I'm honest with you, I of these 3 games we've got this run, Sheffield Wednesday will be up there, but I don't class them as the closest rival to us. I'm not quite convinced they're going to be knocking on the door. I think maybe the playoffs, but you're not going to complain. I just think it shows how far we've come. To be quite honest with you, and then I'll go and talk about Arsenal to follow that. I think really, you can be cynical, can't you? And as McKenna said before the Arsenal game, this is not a priority. It's like he said, the Colchester Carabao Cup game. It's not a priority. We're not prioritising this cup. Now, we might not be prioritising this cup, but just the squad we have now got. I think this is the first time in a long time as an Ipswich fan, you could probably get a really decent second 11 side out of us. And I mean, it was like if you look at some of the other teams that have been put out by League One teams, like Sheffield Wednesday played Burton on the same night. They didn't have a bad team out. It was nowhere near as good as ours, and they lost at home. So Arsenal, you know what? None of us are going to complain. I don't think if we get a trip to Wembley at the end of it. Let's see what happens. But again, it's just the great thing is now, like with our squad and the fact that we can make 5 subs every week, you realise that just by having players ticking over with getting minutes and playing, Freddie Ladapo scored again, Leif Davis. We may have someone that can take a really good corner. Let's wait and see. But there were some big positives to come out of it. Probably the biggest one for me was
we won.
We won, and Cameron Humphreys. That for me, that really nice ball we put through for Jackson, and then when he didn't go out before the window closed. McKenna said we feel it's best that he trains with us in an environment, and I tell you what, like that's proved right as well. So bring it on. We can take the fine if we want now and lose to Cambridge if we need to. We didn't get any injuries, and and I'm from North London, so I take it that we've beaten Arsenal, and I'm telling all my neighbours we've beaten Arsenal, and there you go, job done.
Yeah, definitely. We stopped them making a hat trick of wins at Portman Road. Of course, the last 2 years we've lost against them in a full 90 minutes or on penalty shootouts, but luckily we beat them and we move on. Liam, let's get your snap thoughts. I know you were shaking your head when Dan was talking about Sheffield Wednesday not being there, and you agree with him. I know you're not that impressed by Sheffield Wednesday. Quick snap thoughts on Sheffield Wednesday, and I'll let Peachy sort of lead with the Arsenal game, so I know who was there more.
Yeah, it wasn't the best performance on Saturday. I've seen us play a lot better than that, especially that first 20 minutes. Lee Evans in particular, who's been immense the last few weeks, couldn't pass the ball if he tried, to be honest. I don't know what was going on. He was undercooking everything. I don't know if it was nerves or something like that, but which I wouldn't think it would be for an experienced player like him. But it was just a bit off. But then they composed themselves, and I'll be honest, it wasn't like Bristol Rovers where we were absolutely comfortable and would sit there and go, oh, they didn't look like really putting much on us. I know they hit the bar, Bristol Rovers, but they didn't really create that many chances. But Sheffield Wednesday, they didn't. For the home side, the clash of, I guess, the 2 pre-season favourites, they didn't really have that many periods where they put Town under real pressure. And any moments that did come really came from Town giving the ball away rather than Sheffield Wednesday doing anything spectacular. And I just don't. They've got a very good squad, and the players that they've got are all for this level. very, very good. But I mean, Windass didn't even think he was on the pitch. Can't remember him doing anything, being one of their key players. And then, of course, they've got a lot of power up front. But essentially, they are very... I know we're playing some really good football, so not every team's going to be like Ipswich, but you'd think Sheffield Wednesday, some better technical players in their team, that they would be playing a decent brand of football. But it was very direct, get the ball in the box, and you've got some big men in there to attack the ball. It was quite simplistic, and realistically, I think if Barry Bannon wasn't on the pitch, I think they're bang average. Really, I think we had them at hand, arm's length, especially in the second half, and we got the second goal. But I mean, as soon as they got that goal back, that's when the pressure started to build, because they just got a bit of momentum. But even then, we created more chances on the break than Sheffield Wednesday did, really, towards our goal, that you would say, oh, we're really clinging on here. They just pushed us back a bit, but they didn't make Walton work or anything. A lot of their shots that they were trying were off target. I wasn't impressed with them. And then, of course, obviously the goal was offside, which is really, really frustrating. But for me, it is that. Of what Dan said, it did feel like a defeat afterwards. We would have taken that at 3:00, but now that we've seen that for 90 minutes and the position that we're in with 20 minutes to go, it just does feel like a bit of a kick in the stones, because I think we were the better side, really, in terms of keeping the ball. And being more, I guess, creative. But as Dan said, it's where we've come from. I mean, we weren't anything like that last season, and to come away from Hillsborough disappointed not having beaten Sheffield Wednesday is just a testament to where the club is right now. And I'm hoping that is more of to come, really, against the bigger boys, that if we don't win, we'll be disappointed, because, to be honest, if that was the pre-season favourites, we've got nothing to fear in this league.
Well said, as always, my friend. And Peach, I want you to focus more on the Arsenal game, because you were there. You spoke to me on game day. You had more time to reflect. You had to go through, A14 closures and all that sort of stuff. But are we going to Wembley? Are we going? That, as Dan said, we can play two very strong teams at the moment. Connor Chaplin, he's well up for this. He wants to go to Wembley, and I'm sure a lot of these players have never probably played at Wembley. So, off to Wembley, boys.
Yeah, of course we are. Honestly, I really like. I'm a bit like Hutchie. I like the competition. It's another competition. It's potentially going to end with a trip to Wembley, and like you say, Dan touched on it. The strength of our squad is. Well, like I said, we can field two teams near enough, and you still think I could still beat other League One sides, in my opinion. But on the game itself, quick start. Was it John Ball scored after 3 minutes? Lovely little corner in. I took it, but Ladapo headed it on, finish. And I thought, like I said, on game day, we could be in for another route here, like with Northampton. But to be fair to the Arsenal youngsters, I don't think we're as strong as the previous side last year. They played football. So it's always nice to see a team come to Portman Road and try and play football instead of trying to wind the clock down, do a bit of, as I call it, poo-housery, so I don't swear too much. And then the sort of the game, because I think, touching on the main pod, there's only 5,000 here, obviously. And the game went a bit of a lull period, the crowd would, obviously there was the thing with Ladapo, which I think some fans got to realise he's not going to score every chance, is he? Strikers don't score every time, because he misses one chance, it's the end of the world for some fans. And I know the North Stand were doing a little chance, and I can see both sides of the argument, where some were a little bit, in my opinion, patronising, but then other ones were showing their support for Ladapo. And when he did finally get the goal, a great ball through from Don Ball, that was the loudest cheer of the night, as always, because that's nice to see. Actually, I think town fans have changed a little bit, as in, they'll try and support players now instead of just swearing, saying, "Oh, you're useless, get him off." They see more encouragement which is a good sign in my opinion. But I think with them 2 wins, that takes us through, doesn't it? Near enough. I know we've got Cambridge away.
Technically, I think we're not just yet progressed somehow. I don't know how it works mathematically, but I think it's just,
Arsenal have got 3 and Cambridge have got 3 points. Northampton have got obviously Northampton can't qualify, and obviously we can just get a draw at Cambridge. I'm pretty sure we're through, but then we get through the last 32, and I think if we win the group, we get a home tie anyway. I think that's how it works. But another step closer to Wembley. But just if I can touch on the Sheffield Wednesday game, it's just it's like it's been said. Like before the game, I'd have took a draw. It's just the manner, and like it is frustrating. But then if we're frustrated, like it's been said again, if we're frustrated with a draw at Hillsborough, that shows how far we've come. But I think it's on paper Hillsborough seems the hardest place to go, but I think there'll be a lot more harder away games, in my opinion.
Yeah, coming up against, of course, Owen Park. Liam's got his hand up. What do you want to say now, mate?
I just wanted to quickly touch on what Peachy said about Ladapo. In just quickly, basically, I've been quite annoyed about the amount of criticism Ladapo's been getting just because he hasn't been scoring goals. The fact is McKenna brought him to the club because he fits what McKenna wants in the team. And yes, he is a striker, so goals are his bread and butter, but he does so much more for the team than just scoring goals. Some of his work rate has been really good, but I will say that on Saturday when he came on, he did look a bit off it, and that's the first time that I felt a bit critical of him, and criticism was probably fair. In that he just, I don't know if it was just because he's not much of an impact player maybe, but he came on and he really struggled for that last 20 minutes to really keep the ball up front, which helped Sheffield Wednesday build that momentum later on. And I think he was a little bit of a yard off it. He just never got anywhere near. So, but overall, I've got no issues with Ladapo. I don't understand why there's all this stuff going on. He does a great job for the team, and if other players are scoring because of him, then I don't care, to be honest. We're winning games, scoring goals, and Ladapo will get his goals eventually.
The other thing with Ladapo, just to finish, I didn't go to the game, right? But when I heard what was going on, so on the EADT blog, I think with about 20 minutes to go, there was a line saying fans are chanting Ladapo's name. I was reading it on the blog and I thought, and then you kind of things pop up on Twitter and you hear things about some people are kind of taking the piss a bit and being sarcastic. What I have noticed with a player like him is his body language. If you watch him when he scores that goal, if there's only 5,000 there, if people were getting on him, he would have been hearing that. And he scored that goal and he turned around to the North Stand and gave a massive beaming smile. And I just think, I think he, for someone like him, he's very much like, he's obviously riled fans of other clubs before he's come here. He came, didn't he? That lens of, he might score 20 goals, but he's a bit lazy and he gets frustrated. I think we've been a bit, I think he's still got to shake that off. Ross has gone.
Yeah. Sorry, so I'm just eating some jelly and I just didn't want to do it on screen. So I thought Dan's in it.
Bored you to submission, but no, I just yeah.
Ever the professional.
No, I didn't want to do it on screen. I wanted to eat my jelly, and I thought Dan's in he's a nice rhythm here. And I was hoping he was going to good speak for another 30 to a minute, but then you stopped. I was like, why are you stopping? I'm halfway through. It's all good. It's all good. Some good chat about Ladapo, and I'm a big fan of Ladapo. I think he'll get his goal soon, but as Liam said, he works very hard for the team, and definitely against Bristol Rovers, I thought he played really well. But there we go. Any other notes, boys, before we go on to our next feature of the pod? Anything else you want to mention? That's all. Anyone saying no? Okay, then let's jump into a new feature on the podcast called Town Debate. Dum dum dum. Basically, now get into a courtroom to debate all things town. We're going to have different subjects each week to debate. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? All that sort of stuff. And the first debate is Tractor Boys. The name Tractor Boys. And Yeah, it's an interesting topic because I think some people like it, some people love it, some people dislike it, or they not that fussed about it really. So I'm going to start off with Peachy actually first of all because I know you're a big fan of it. Of course, it is our slogan. We've got a song about Tractor Boys. We sing it. All that sort of stuff. But what do you like about it? And I'll get some thoughts from Dan and Liam as well.
I think it's just a bit different. Obviously East Anglia is known for farming, and it came around like when we got the Premier League. And I remember seeing an interview in the paper where Jim Magilton came out and said the players absolutely hate it. So the North Stand started seeing the orders was like 1-0 to the Tractor Boys, and now we've got the Ole Ole Tractor Boys one as well. But obviously when I was growing up, we were always known as the Super Blues. And it has started to come back, I've noticed, which I haven't got a problem with that either. But yeah, because for me it's different, I really like it. The only issue I have got with the Tractor Boys thing was little boring story for it. Last season I was in Newmarket Town Centre for a game, sat there in my town shirt outside Greg's, just having a cup of tea and a steak bake, and this old gentleman was walking past, he had his Norwich scarf on, he looked at me and I was like, raise your eyebrows, you do, and he goes, looked at him and went, blooming tractor wanker. I thought, thanks for that, mate. I apologise for my language, but yeah, that's the only reason I've got a problem with it. But and also, I think it helps with the women's team because they're known as the Tractor Girls. So
yeah,
but obviously everyone's got an opinion on stuff. That's mine. So
yeah,
I'll pass over to.
Like it. Yeah, or of course, little plug here. Of course, listen to Tractor Girls talk with me and Blue Wilson talking all things Ipswich Town women. But I thought this is a nice little start of the town debate because every club have got their own nicknames, names to call the club. And Tractor Boys, yeah, it's very splits opinion. Dan, what's your thoughts on it, my friend?
I think, I think what Peachy said is it's an East Anglian thing. And because I'm not from East Anglia, like the majority of Ipswich fans, I'm pretty ambivalent towards it. Like, I guess it identifies who we are. We are Ipswich are from a farming community. And it came, didn't it? I remember it when it was first sung. It was at St Andrews. It was when Arsenal had gone on that massive run, and it was 1-0 to the Arsenal. They always used, and then when we were winning at Birmingham, I remember it started up 1-0 to the Tractor Boys, and it stuck with us when we went into the Premier League. So obviously, when you're in the Premier League, that's when the media kind of labelled us as the Tractor Boys, and it stuck with us. I mean, I don't mind it. I still sing it at Portman Road. There's a couple of songs, Tractor Boys are going to make the noise, and 1-0 to the Tractor Boys, and I'm fine with it. I was, funnily enough, last weekend, whenever the Ipswich-Cambridge game was off, and I was walking down the Mall with the family because we weren't at football, and Alex, my son, had his Ipswich top on, and we had two people shout out, Tractor Boy. And it's just it's because he had his Ipswich shirt on, and it's kind of like what we're known as, It's, I'm not. What else are we going to call ourselves? What anything any better than it? I can't think of anything. I don't know. I just think if you take something like that a bit too seriously, there's a problem. So, it's how people know us. I'm pretty happy with it, and but as I say, it's like. I'm not really from East Anglia, so I don't really feel massively passionate about it either way.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up, and because you can call us Blues, but then there's so many different clubs that are Blues. Birmingham, Chelsea, you can name a lot, and yeah, it is known to us. And a lot of people go, "Yeah, I'm a Tractor Boy" and all that sort of stuff. Liam, you've got a very different connection to Dan and Peachy, with your becoming a season ticket holder only a few years back. Of course, you probably would have known Ipswich Town as the Tractor Boys from the outside circles, but since you've now been adopted a Tractor Boy, what's your thoughts on it all?
To be honest, I'm nonplussed because it's kind of, as you say, I'm a bit late to the party, so it's kind of the norm for me. Everyone sings the songs, people recognise Ipswich fans and Ipswich players, and obviously the women's team as Tractor Boys, Tractor Girls. And it's kind of a bit of the norm for me, but and if obviously it's come from the Premier League era, which was way before my time being anywhere near East Anglia, then obviously for me, I didn't know anything before that, to be honest. But I can understand why people wouldn't like it. if it's a kind of gimmick that's been given to the club through the media, because it's not something that I mean, I think quite a lot of the people actually quite like it, but obviously the media have kind of come up with it, and Town have kind of adopted it a little bit. But I can understand why some of the hardcore potentially don't, because it's not a unique thing that Ipswich have come up with. It's not something that's been with Ipswich since the beginning, or something that they've put together as a club or supporters throughout time, and it's engrossed itself through the generations. It's something that's been labelled onto them, and people have kind of adopted it. And as you say, from someone like me from the outside, I would have known Ipswich as the Tractor Boys, because that's what they've been nicknamed. But I can understand why some fans might find that annoying, because it's not their nickname, basically. It's something that's been given to someone else, and they might get a bit annoyed at the fact that that's not what they want to be called. Some people don't want to be called that. Maybe some people don't want that connotation with farming and stuff, even though Suffolk is quite a large farming community, or county, shall I say. But some people may not like that. They may not think it's maybe a good enough nickname. Maybe it's not something they want to be associated with. But I mean, for me, it's kind of been there. So I sing the songs, and if I get called a Tractor Boy, I'm okay with it. But I can see why some people might have an issue with it.
It's better to be called something than nothing.
Yeah.
I'd say. I mean, what are Norwich called? They're the participants, aren't they? I mean, I'd much rather be called something that's, better than nothing.
Definitely.
Well, they're the Canaries, aren't they? So, I mean, was that put because did they come up with that, or has just someone gone, well, their kit is yellow, green, that they're just canary colour, we'll just call them the Canaries? Or is it the fact they've got is it a canary on their badge? Is that what I don't know. I know.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. This is a pilot episode of the debate, and I'm hoping in future episodes we'll have more debate in terms of people disagreeing with each other. But it was just a nice little set question just to start off, smoothly. And you never know, in future weeks there could be fighting going on because people are like, no, I don't disagree with you. I agree with you, and all that sort of stuff. But there we go. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen, your thoughts on the Tractor Boys nickname and all that sort of stuff. I put it in our group chat just a minute ago. A lot of people are saying like it. Good old Bono went like it, but it's had its time.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned that, Dan, as well, about, you think it's had its moment. But then what else could we call ourselves? Can anybody brainstorm quickly? What else would you say? You could be Suitor Blues, or you can be Up the Town. Like we always go Up the Town. But there's no, I don't know. It's not.
Is there something to do with Sheeran on the horizon? I don't know. It's down to the youth. It's down to the youth to come up with something.
Yeah,
that's what I say. Let the youth come through and do it like the youth did in 1998. It's time for something new.
Yeah, we shall see. Yeah, everyone, get yourself head together. Let us know all that thoughts and all that sort of stuff. Okay, then, boys, let's get into the strike. It's time for Dan, Liam, and Peachy go head to head. Who's going to win the crown for the strike this week? Let me just get my questions up. We've got 4 questions plus a tiebreaker if needed. I'm sure we may need it, but if we don't, we'll still use it anyway because, as you know, gamble at the end. We don't promote gambling, but that's just a standard strike tiebreaker. I'm gonna shut up now and move on to the first question, boys. So as you know, I always go for birthdays this week or this month in September, and good old Craig Forrest celebrated his birthday this week or this month. How many clean sheets did Craig Forrest keep in 46 league games in the 1991-92 title winning season? So, because I think I've done clean sheets in the Premier League and done clean sheets all together, but I thought I'd be more creative and do how many clean sheets in 46 league games in that course title winning season. How many do you reckon then?
Sorry, I was trying to think of the video I used to watch because I had that on video that season.
Yeah.
Just trying to think of some of the games, but it's gonna be a stab in the dark.
Yeah. What's Liam gone? Liam's gone for
12.
12. My favourite number. Of course, Dan's got more advantage here because I know you went to a few games, didn't you, Dan? You went to a lot of those games.
I did go to
14, by the way.
Oh,
14 as well.
Oh, great minds.
Okay, of course, if you get it bang on, you get 2 points. And Liam from Crewe has got it bang on. It's 12.
Oh, what a Liam.
Liam starts off. It's 2-0. Early doors with Liam Crewe. And of course, Liam, that is even before your bloody era. So there we go. What a start.
Well done, Liam, lad.
So 12 in 46 games. What do you reckon? Is that
we talked? Yeah, we didn't. We didn't like if it was McKenna, we'd have about 30 if we ever won the championship. We didn't really grind out clean sheets that season, but we were solid enough to go up. But yeah, I knew it was around then. But that's 12. Fair play.
Yeah. I don't think there was many. There was many goalless draws. I think there was
We drew a lot of games 1-1, and we won a lot of away games 2-1.
Yeah. So there we go.
Good.
Yeah, you do that. Yeah, he knew it. Did his research. He knew what I'd do a Craig Forrest question, and he just did all the opportunities. Now, question 2, and I think this has given an opportunity for Peachy to possibly have advantage here because it's on Frank Newball. Clack. How many goals did he score in 60 games?
Oh,
bloody hell.
Sorry.
Of course, he had that one evening where he became prime. I'm trying to think of a striker. Prime Ronaldo. Pretty much because he was unbelievable against them. That game against Palace. But 60 games, Frank Newball, how many goals?
Are we talking league games only?
No, all competition. All competitions.
Not that makes much difference.
No.
I'll go for 7.
7. Okay. Of course, bang on, you get a double the points just like Liam did. Let's see.
I've gone
9.
16, probably too much.
9.
Yeah, no one's got up bang on, but the closest is Peachy, and it's only 5 goals.
Whoa!
5 goals in 60 games.
Peachy blinder. He wasn't exactly prolific, was he?
No, but then he played a lot on the wing, though, didn't he? Really, he played a lot on the wing.
Phenomenal work rate. Work rate.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, he scored. Is it twice he scored against Palace that evening? Is it twice?
Yep.
Yeah. That's one game. That's one game he scored 2, and then the other game was 3. So yeah, not a great record, but he's always a good bloke. Frank was always a decent lad. He's of course now he's still at Colchester, isn't he? Where they're struggling, but we won't get into what's going on there because we all know what's going on. Okay, then third question is on Panucci Kamara. Of course, got connection with Plymouth. Hasn't played for us just yet, but of course signed from Plymouth. And he had a very interesting backstory because he started his youth career in Portugal, then came to England and joined Barnsley Youth Academy, then got released and he played non-league football. Now, for which team did he play non-league football? Was it Esley United, Dulwich Hamlet, or Slough Town? So yeah, he had a very interesting little journey. Cool. So yeah, he went to What's a nice little question? A nice little journey. Then playing non-league. Okay, what's Liam gone? Anyone's gone Dulwich. Gone Fleet. It is Dulwich Hamlet. So it's 3-2-0. Sorry, Danny boy.
I'm out.
It's fine, mate. It's fine. But no, you can come in with a tiebreaker later on. You carry on though. Carry on. But now it's a chance here now though for Peachy to get to a tiebreaker, or can Liam make it a victory? Now the next question is on James Wilson, of course. At Plymouth, hasn't been starting though because basically he got sent off one week and basically his replacement has been playing really well, so he's not been able to get into the team. I think he played midweek in the Pat Johns Trophy, but it's looking likely he won't start on the weekend. He may be on the bench, whatever. But anyway, he joined town on a free transfer from which club? Was it Lincoln City, Sheffield United, or Walsall? So can Peachy steal it at the death to make it 3-3 to go to tiebreaker, or can Liam out of nowhere get the win? So Dan's gone for. Liam's gone for Lincoln.
Lincoln as well.
It is Lincoln. So Liam from Crewe has won. Well, Liam, you're gonna gamble it, my friend, or you're gonna take the win straight away?
What's the prize?
The prize is
Give Ross a lift home.
Yay! yeah,
I'll,
that's
I'll
pretty much
stick
it.
then.
Yeah, okay.
Well, seeing as though no one has ever stuck, I'll gamble.
Yeah.
Because
Okay, then.
well, I'd look like a right.
Sportsmanship, my friend. Okay, then tiebreaker. And of course, once again, Liam, though, Peachy and Dan has to get it bang on to take the crown. Now, in 24 games at Plymouth, how many times have Town won? So 24 games at Plymouth at Home Park, how many times? Technically, Liam, you don't need to plan if you don't want to, but you can do if you want, because you're one overall. But you could get it bang on, and you get double points straight away.
Got 8.
Oh, Dan's got 8 as well.
I've gone 7.
7. Let me have a look.
Imagine if it's.
Just I got the answer. No, I got the answer. I was suspense for one. Suspense for one.
Sorry, Ross.
Okay, so 24 games. Yep. There's been 10 defeats. So actually, they're beating us more times.
That leaves 14.
7 draws.
Oh,
7 wins. So Peachy at the death wins. Liam for Crewe. Oh dear.
Well, you see, I'm laughing because Peachy's now got to give you a lift, so it's
yeah. Some more coming back.
Some more coming back, yeah. Well, Peachy, you've won right at the death there. Yeah, your thoughts?
Well, shows what happens when you do your research, doesn't it? No, complete guess. But I think we're all winners in this, aren't we? That's the main thing. We're all winners.
Taken part, but of course it makes it better when you win as well. But there we go. Well done, Dan. Well done for taking part, my friend. You're also involved. And Liam, your quick little speech. You won it overall in terms of the 4 questions, but the tiebreaker, Peachy took up from your grasps.
Yeah, but I'm actually surprising myself of how well I seem to do at these things. I seem to be doing a lot better than I would think. I thought I would be like Dan and pretty much getting nothing, but most of them are just pure guesses. But there is one question I'm intrigued to know. If I had got it spot on, then would I have had to take you double?
Yeah,
take you double trips.
No, you won. You would have just won overall. You would have won. You would have just.
I wouldn't have got a double prize then.
No, the other prize would just be. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't got a budget. I haven't got a budget for prizes. So that's why you have to give me lifts, because that's that's my budget. Stealing your petrol and all that. But yeah, I know I've got a big, like, Liam's probably the biggest in terms of lifts I have to return back, because yeah, it's a massive lift. Just general, just even going to shopping, just shopping.
Got that
anyway,
right.
pretty much. But there we go, another edition of The Strike. Hope you all enjoyed as ever. Let's talk about a feature we brought you last week, and it was about the free beers taps, your ultimate free beers tap at Portman Road. Now we've actually done a bit of a remix of this as well now, because I've also added spirits, because there's also people who maybe they're more of a gin, a rum drinker, or even a wine drinker. So if you can bring wine involved as well. So yeah, if you had your ultimate lineup, I'm going to start off with good old Dan. Currently you're at the kiosk at Portman Road. What would be your free ultimate lineup?
Unbelievably tough question, this. But what I think you got to go local. Okay. I think you got to go local. We got some brilliant breweries in Suffolk. So in an ideal world, you'd have Adnams for your bitter, Aspel's for your cider, and which are both lovely, and maybe Green King, the other Suffolk brewery. But I'd probably go to give a bit of variety. Beer Adnams, probably Ghost Ship. Aspel's Premier Crewe for the cider, and I'm going to go personal choice Red Stripe for lager, because you can't get that in many places. And if the match was rubbish, you'd have a very good time at the bar.
Indeed. That's what it's all about as well. It's all about, your own creation. Ben was very much being very. He wants to please the people. He doesn't want to please us out. He wants to please the people. So, but no, good choice. Dan. I'm a big Ridge Strike man as well. Very underrated beer or lager. Definitely up there for me. Liam. Now I know you're more of a rum drinker, but you like yourself a cider. But what is your three ultimate taps?
Well, I'm not really much of a beer or a lager drinker whatsoever. I did used to drink quite a bit of Tennant's lager when I was in Scotland, but it's not the best. Cheap and cheerful. But I would say I would have to go quite heavy on the cider in terms of. So I would probably have Old Rosie Westerns, which is quite strong stuff. My Ribena, as I like to call it, which is my usual pint of choice before a game on a Saturday, dark fruit. But as you say, having a spirit in there, I would definitely have a keg of rum to go. If it's an unlimited keg, then that would be beautiful. Wouldn't even go to the game, to be honest. I'd just stay in the bar. Had a very, very nice rum called Bumbu in Bristol on a stag do earlier this year. So that's very nice. Morgan Spiced is my usual go-to on that. But Dead Man's Fingers is also a very, very nice rum as well. So any rum basically in this keg will do me. I'll be happy as Larry.
Indeed, my friend. And before I bring you in, Peach, I want to quickly bring you in, Dan. Quickly, I know you're a wine drinker. What would be your wine of choice if you had a wine tap?
I would probably go for Sicilian red wine, bottle of Vina Mapo or Vina Mapo, which is beautiful. Okay. Which I drank heavily on my honeymoon.
There we go. There you go. Brownie points there. Brownie points mentioning that. There we go. Peachy, then. Up to you now, my friends, to bring us home with your ultimate free taps at Portman Road. What are you taking? What are you bringing us?
Well, I'm a bit like Ben. I'm having like three options, as in like a lager, an ale, and a stout. Obviously, the stout is going to be Guinness. That is absolutely. I love that drink. It's an all year round drink. Also can count as a meal as well because it's very filling. My ale is the same as Dan, and as Mr. Heath knows, it is an ale. It is a ghost ship from Adnams.
Oh.
And my lager is it's my favourite lager, is Cobra. Obviously, I'm joining in takeaway myself.
Yeah.
And you just can't beat a pint of Cobra. It is lovely. They'd be my three.
I like it. As you said, your Guinness is very filling.
It's lovely.
Just one, I'm like, oh, bloody hell, that's enough for me. But yeah, Cobra always the way for an Indian. Boom, happy days when that's in front of me. But there's a lot of really under the radar beers out there and lagers out there, just like you just don't think of. And of course, grounds they stick to the classics, don't they? They do the San Miguel's and all that sort of stuff. But sometimes you want a nice little rarity, and when a club out of nowhere brings you like amazing taps. But there we go, then, boys. We're going to be talking more beer chat here and more just drinking chat because I've also now added another question onto this, and you have an opportunity to have a beer, drink a bit of wine, whatever you want, with a current member of the town squad or coaching staff. Up to you. You can do whatever you want. So, Dan, which player, which coaching staff are you having a drink with?
Well, I had a drink with one of the Ipswich club staff about 2 weeks ago by complete accident, and I've completely fluffed my opportunity. It was at the Oval. It was the Friday. It rained all day, and we retired to the pub at about 6 o'clock. And as I walked into the pub in the Oval, there was Andy Rolls and the two performance lads at Ipswich who were standing there having a pint, and we walked in. Now, they're probably not very well. Not many people noticed them out of Ipswich. So me and my mate went up to them and went, "Hey, you're Andy Rolls, mate. Can we have a drink?" and then we were just talking rubbish to him. Very nice bloke, by the way. Didn't bat an eyelid, but so on that basis, on the fact that I fluffed my opportunity there, I know it's a bit boring, but I'd love to go for a pint with Kieran McKenna. Just because I think, I just think, to be honest, I just like listening to him talk, and I kind of wonder. I'm pretty convinced, for all the image that McKenna's got of the pretty dry, intelligent, studious character, I'd like to see what he's like outside of that. So Kieran McKenna, couple of pints would be good.
What do you reckon he would drink? What's his? Cause I know he's Northern Irish, so
I think he has to be Guinness, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably like a wine. I think he's probably a wine drinker as well. Do you reckon?
Pretty discerning character. Quiet little table in the corner, Guinness or a red wine. I think he'd be very interesting company. As a player, probably Morsey, because I think he'd be quite intense and it'd be quite amusing. And I don't reckon he can handle his booze at all, Morsey. I reckon he's like, you know, those lads who are like really aggressive and they'll have half a pint and he'll be all over.
Yeah, so I've got a friend who's like that as well. He's a tough boy. He's a really, you know, he's a big fighter and all that. He's like he's got muscles and everything, but yeah, 1 pint he's lightweight. So yeah, it could be. We'll have to test it one day. You never know. Liam from Crewe. As you said, you're more a rum drinker. So who are you having a rum with?
I'm going to go with JD because. I'm going to go for JD because I think he's obviously very understated. He's that kind of guy in the background that no one really notices. He gets on with his work. He's a solid hand at the head of the ship. But I think he probably knows some very good rums with his Caribbean background, and I think he could treat me to some pretty nice stuff. So I would love to check out what rums he might have in store for me, which would be brilliant. And I think he actually might be quite a lively guy in the background off a football pitch. I think get a few down him. I think he could be a little bit of the life of the party.
I think so. I think he's very understated. I think he's a very chill guy. He's very laid back, but I'm sure, yeah. Well, the thing is nowadays as well, of course, footballers they're not heavy drinkers they used to back in the 90s. You know, 90s, yeah, very much so. But now I'm sure they still have points here and there. You see different stories and stuff, but I'm sure, you know, in family members and blah blah, they just, you know, you can have a little beer here and there. But there we go. Peachy then. We've had Kieran McKenna, Sam Morsey, JD. Who are you going for?
Well, I was thinking about this most of the day, and like at first I thought Sam Morsey, because you know if you're in a pub and it all kicks off, you got him on your side, you're fine. But then I thought, do I really fancy getting a scrap? Nah. Then I thought just kind of Chaplin, so I can just look at that smile all night. It's a lovely smile he has, but then I thought that might get a bit weird. So I eventually thought I'll go with I think George Edmondson, because I think he's just a bit of a laugh. He likes a bit of banter, like you see him on Coffee Club, and he seems a bit like, you know, the life and soul. Like it's going to be a bit of fun. He's your man. Not sure what he'd drink though. I don't know. Would he be more like a brew dog man? I think, like one of your craft lagers maybe. But yeah, George Edmondson.
Or he could probably be maybe a Stella boy. Maybe.
No.
You know,
that's Morsey's drink.
Like Morsey.
One of them. Bang. Let's go for it. My theory.
Connor Chaplin wouldn't get served though, would he? Because he'd like.
Not without ID.
More than a 10-year-old.
Yeah, definitely. But good chat, lads. And we'll bring this throughout the next few weeks and few months of the KOA Fans Social when we bring on different people. And of course, if you want to get involved on the podcast, of course, contact me at Ross Media UK. Always good to get different voices on, but it's always good to hear different opinions, different thoughts, as always. Okay, boys, enough beer chat, lager chat, spirit chat, and all that jazz. Let's get into the game on the weekend. Live on Sky, thanks Sky Curse and all that sort of stuff, Sunday afternoon. Plymouth doing really well at the moment. Once again, another season do well. Third in League One. Of course, we're still top, still unbeaten. Dan, how are you feeling going into this one? And we've got a big talking point, of course. Wes Burns is gone on international duty. with Wales, not even starting, not even on the bench. Won't get into that. But how are you feeling going to this one, mate? And the big question is, who are you starting at Plymouth instead of Burns? KVY, Caden Jackson, Kyle Edwards, wildcard option, Marcus Harness.
Yeah, it's now I think Plymouth are without doubt. I personally think they're up there as the best team in the division, along with us. And I say that purely from if you look at the teams that Plymouth have played and beaten this season, they've had the hardest run of games by far on paper. And they've beaten Sheffield Wednesday, they've beaten Barnsley, they've beaten Bolton. We didn't beat any of them. So I think they are a real dark horse in the division. I think it's going to be a great game. I really do. I think I don't. Even though they got off to it, I see them as a rival, and I think that they were seconds away from winning at Pompey. Let's not forget that. Now, I just think we don't have Burns. They don't have Finazaz, who is a miss for them just as much as Burns is a miss for us. I think it's bit ridiculous, really, if Rob Pager doesn't think he's good enough to get on the bench tonight for Wales, and he just sits around for 4 days, not even on a bench, and can't play for us. Just somehow doesn't feel right, but I know that's the way it works. But I think Plymouth will be really tough. They're excellent at home. I think replacing Burns, personally, I'll go for KVY. I think the reason why I'll go with KVY is he's the most natural right wing back that we've got. I think we just need players playing in their proper roles. I don't think we have to go too fancy. I think Jackson's scoring up front. Don't see the point of moving him to the right wing. I think Edwards is a bench player at the moment, and I think KVY, we all need a bit of that defensive ability at times at Plymouth, and I think he deserves a go there. I can't remember the last time he started as right wing back KVY. He's been all over the place. But I think saying all of that, in terms of the game itself, although they've got off to a good start this season, we did give them, when we beat them 1-0 at the back end of last season, I mean, that was 1-0 going on 2 or 3-0. I mean, we really did dominate Plymouth, to be honest. And I think they're going to be just as wary of us as we are going to respect them. So I know it's a bit dull, but I'm going to go 1-1. And I think that would be, if we win on Saturday with no one else playing, that is a proper statement we could send out on Sky. It really is. And I'd love to think we could nick it 1-0, but I think Plymouth are a really decent side. I think I've got Danny Mayer coming back, to replace Azaz, who's more than decent. So I'll take a 1-1 now and then beat Portsmouth next week.
Oh, yes, mate. Big talk. Of course, that's going to be a massive sellout. It sounds like it. Tickets are 25,000 sold on Pompey. They're going to bring in their fans. It's going to be unbelievable atmosphere. Liam, Plymouth, live on Sky. How are you feeling going into this one without Wes Burns, but he's not been the player he was last year? What are you going with the right wing back role, and overall your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I do agree with Dan. I think KVY, we don't need to be over the top. It is going to be a tough game, so we don't need to, I suppose, do something off the cuff. But McKenna will know what the best player for that position will be. If you go for Edwards, then it's a great opportunity for him to have a go at maybe even taking Burns' spot, because to be honest, I don't know what it is about Wes Burns. I think he's just knackered. I literally think he's just knackered. He obviously had a few niggly injuries at the end of last season. He kept playing because we didn't have the depth of squad as we do this season. And with what we were needing to do at the back end of last season, just to make the playoffs, we had to have our key players playing week in, week out. And I think Burns did have a few niggles there that he played through. And then he's gone straight off to play for Wales in the early month of June, straight after the season finishes. He hasn't had a break, really. He hasn't had a proper break because then, of course, he comes back from Wales duty. He has a couple of weeks, and then pre-season started because of obviously the World Cup and so on. The season starting a bit earlier, it's kind of pushed everything. So he's not really had a break. So I can understand from that point of view why he's not been on it from the start. The worrying thing is, I don't know if he's been found out maybe a bit. And maybe it's up to him now that he is getting recognised for Wales. It's up to him to try and maybe reinvent himself a little bit to get that spark back. But he isn't taking on players at the moment. He seems a little bit afraid to do that. Whereas last season he gets the ball, head down, bang. But then I think that, and then you think, well, he's been playing in this league for quite a while because he was obviously at Fleetwood before he came to us. And I mean, most of the teams in this league have probably seen and know what he can do. So I think he's just genuinely needs a bit of time to just recuperate. You talk about football players in the modern era now and how many games they can play, and you compare them to the likes of the team in the 80s that played with a very, very small squad, played about 60 matches, and they didn't batter an eyelid. And of course, they weren't anywhere near the peak fitness of a footballer in today's world. The pitches were pretty terrible, and the footballs were a lot heavier. But I think he just needs a break. So if Edwards comes in, it's a great opportunity for him. But I think from a solid point of view, KVY might be a better option just to have that natural position, because from a defensive point of view, we do need to be solid because, as Dan says, Plymouth, I said this before the Sheffield Wednesday game, Wednesday at Hillsborough, always going to be a big game, but I always saw this game against Plymouth being the harder one of the two, because with Wednesday, you don't know what you're going to get with Wednesday. They could be absolutely brilliant, or they could be what they ended up being, quite average. They weren't that great, to be honest. Whereas Plymouth, they've been very strong at home, and I don't think they've conceded a goal yet. I think so.
At home, of course, I've conceded. And
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered about their away form because obviously it's at home park. So, but they haven't conceded a goal on home soil, so it just shows how strong they are. Losing Azaz, I think, is a big blow for them. But we have lost Burns. Who's to say Burns wouldn't have suddenly recaptured his form? So it is kind of an eye for an eye in that regards. Two very well matched teams, though, and I saw the highlights of their match against Portsmouth, and they were unlucky because they played some really good football. And ironically, they had a goal chalked off for offside that was onside, when we obviously had a goal given against us that was clearly offside. So it is going to be a tough game. I was at Home Park last season, and I know the teams have evolved a little bit since then, slightly new players, but I think this is going to be a really tough one. And I said, coming into these three matches, if we can come away with 5 points, 2 draws on the road against those two sides and not give them any advantage, and then beat Portsmouth at Portman Road, I would be very, very happy with that return. So I have put in the chat for the prediction league 3-1, just because of my league standings, basically. And I'm going to try and be a bit more erratic because I need to climb the table a little bit. But my true feeling is I think it's going to be a tight one. won by the odd goal, or as Dan says, a draw is quite a distinctive one. So I'll say on here, I'll go for a Desmond and actually say that their run at home of not conceding will go, but I think we'll be happy with a point coming out of this. But I'm sticking to my 3-1 in the prediction, because if it comes off, then I'm going to be delighted.
Indeed, and to update the viewers, so the leaderboard we have with the KOA posse, Steve Wallers, who was on last week's Fan Social, he's currently top of the table, getting some bang-on predictions recently. He's actually based in Plymouth, so this is his derby against Plymouth. I know he's got a lot of friends who are Plymouth fans, so they'll be interesting, but he's top. Dan Peach, you're doing pretty well. You're a top half of the table. I think you're in the top 5, so you're doing really well. Liam is in the bottom 4, so not doing so great. But there we go. I'm just outside the playoffs, so I'm happy with that. Pretty happy with that. But Peachy, then, my friends. Another player we're going to be missing as well is Greg Lee. He's, of course, on international duty with Jamaica, so we're not going to be having him coming off the bench, because I think he's been really well recently, coming off the bench and sort of shoring off the defence. But he won't be there. Just like Wes Burns. Who are you starting, and your thoughts on this game, my friend?
I agree with Liam and Dan. I think it'll be KVY. I mean, I know McKenna started Jackson there away at Burton, but I think it's a bit of a different game, personally. And I think we're going to it's going to be a bit more defensive. And like I say, looking at their attackers, it's got Ryan Hardy, Niall Ennis, Sam Cosgrove. I didn't realise Morgan Wickets is there. I can't say his name. Is there? Who was on loan at Lincoln last year? Was it? Rate him quite well. Obviously, they're missing Finn. As I said, we're missing Burns. It's going to be tight, even though in the prediction I decided to go 3-0. You know, you never know. But it's just, like, again, I agree with Liam. This is a bloody tough game. And I think Plymouth don't get enough credit for how good they are, in my opinion. They play decent football. They've had some great results so far this season. I know their manager was linked with the Huddersfield job, wasn't he? I think he's staying at Plymouth, which is good for him, to be fair, because I think they're on a better run. But, do you know what? I think we'll win. I think we'll win 2-1. But I'm still sticking with my 3-0 prediction. But on Greg Lee, he's a big miss as well, because especially when games are getting tough or we need to see a game out, we normally bring him on for his height and his athleticism. Nothing against Leif Davis, because he's a brilliant player as well, but we will miss not having that option on the bench. But I'm always confident. With our squad, I'm always confident. It's not arrogance, I'm just confident, you know. But it will be a tough game, but yeah, I think we'll get the win.
I'm trying to think the last time we were at Plymouth, was it Hayden Coulson playing like right wing back or something?
Yes.
It was like it was like, because I think we looked at because I think there was some illnesses in the squad. I think Janoy was ill and someone else was ill. And we just looked at the team sheet and went, oh no. And then the game.
I think we took the lead and we ran out of gas, which is pretty Paul Cookish, wasn't it? We turned it the complete opposite to what we are now. The one thing we seem to get fitter and fitter as games go on. Yeah. And that's a big difference. I don't know how we've done it, but we look fitter team than I've ever seen. And just a quick one on Burns. It's an interesting one, isn't it? What 2 things on Burns? One, he was so good last season that he's a League One player for a reason. Let's get it right. But he was so good last season. So, you know, you've got law of averages. I do wonder, obviously at the back of his mind, he could have been thinking, I might be going to the World Cup and I just want to stay fit. You know what I mean? You never know. It might change if he's not involved in these 2 Nation League games. But he was so good last season, and he's just such a good player. I can see him having a really good second half of the season once his World Cup out the way.
Yeah, I think other players have just stepped up, haven't they? You know, Connor Chaplin's been scoring the goals. Like Marcus Harness signing, he scored goals as well. You know, Sam Morsey's just continuing last year. Lee Evans has stepped up and he's been fantastic. So it's just more people are taking the limelight, not just that one player we're focused on. Wes Burns was the one, I wouldn't say carrying the team, but he was the one who was creating the goals, scoring the goals. But now everyone's carrying that load. And He just
Well,
wasn't talking to him.
I think the key thing is obviously the fix of the left-hand side, because
as well.
obviously last season we were solely basically going down the right and using Burns and Donatian down that right-hand side because we didn't have the same attacking prowess on the left-hand side. And since Leif Davis has come in, that's completely changed. So in a way, it's kind of taken the load off him, and maybe I still think he'll probably go to the World Cup, because I know people think, oh, well, if he's not in the squad for this, but for these Nation League games, but I believe the World Cup, they've expanded the squads to 26 for this year because of, well, since COVID basically, and the workload players have had, FIFA have decided to allow an extra 3 to be called up to the original 23. So if he's in and around the squad, then and getting picked, even though he's not maybe in the match day squad for this one against Belgium tonight, I still think there's a good chance he will, if he stays fit, he'll be one of those extra 3 that gets in the 26, unless someone else comes from absolutely nowhere to take that spot. I wish him well. But I think he does need a break, I think, potentially, and it might be if he has a few games. If Edwards maybe or KVY do have a good run in the team, then it might be to our benefit maybe to give Burns a few weeks to sit back, maybe just get a bit of energy back and then go again. And if he's got some competition now, maybe that'll push him on.
Yeah, fire in the belly. Peach, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, just quickly, just thought of this now. Who's saying, obviously you can name a 26-man squad. I could be wrong here, but with the current form Lee Evans is showing, there's potential for a call-up for him as well. Just put it out there. I know Wales have got plenty of options, but if he keeps up the form, you never know. Maybe an injury to one another players, Rob Page might go. I don't think it will happen. That's nothing against Lee Evans. I think he's been phenomenal so far this season. And I hope he doesn't go in some respects, because it's crucial to how we're playing with him and Morsey. But it could happen.
Well, games will be called off, surely. Like, if Lee Evans, Wes Burns goes, I'm trying to think about, no, actually, there's no one else who go to World Cup with there, because there's no of us part of our squad who can go, because Egypt I know Sam Morsey hasn't been in the squad for a while, but they're not going to the World Cup, are they, Egypt? I don't think.
No, they didn't make it.
No,
they got knocked out.
But no, it'd be great for Lee Evans, because I know he is capped for Wales, a couple of years back, but he hasn't been, called up for a very long time. But yeah, if he continues that form, and if there is injuries, and if there's no one else in the same, because I know Joe Worrell who plays for Portsmouth? He's been called up.
Yeah.
But he's playing the same division, but it's one of those things. I think sometimes some managers just have their set players, don't they? Because Johnny Williams is playing League Two football, and he still gets called up. But I think it's because he's been part of the Welsh setup for a very long time. I think certain coaches just stick to the same guys. But there we go. I'm sure we'll be chatting about the World Cup in a few months' time, building up to that. If Wes Burns, it'll be Wes Burns' watch. Is he going to be playing and all that sort of stuff? But we shall wait and see. Well, boys, any other business? Dan, anything else you want to mention?
No, mate, that was great fun, and it's a very good time to be an Ipswich fan, isn't it?
Yes, mate.
It really is. So let's keep up the good work.
Definitely. Liam from Crewe, any other thing do you want to mention?
No.
Just want to lie down, don't you? Just want to lie down.
I just want to go to bed now.
Yeah, fair enough, my friend. Fair enough. Always a pleasure. And finally, Peachy, it's a pleasure as always. Any other business?
No, just agree with what Dan said. It's great to be an Ipswich fan at the moment.
It is indeed. And hopefully, Cantown defeat the Sky Curse this weekend. We shall wait and see. If you are going to the game, enjoy it. Of course, support our sponsors at manscaped.com. Use the code KOA to get 20% off and free delivery at manscaped.com. And of course, if you didn't know this already, you've probably seen it all on Twitter and all the other socials we put out on Kings of Anglia, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all that. We are been nominated for an award for the best EFL podcast. So help us out. You want us to win it? vote for us to win. You can do it on the Twitter handle, or you can go on the website and vote for us. And I might as well plug myself as well. I've been nominated for an award, which is very humbling. Thank you very much, everyone who nominated me for that. And if you want to vote for me to win that, then do the same. All the stuff. So there we go. Dan, Liam from Crewe, Peachy, thanks for joining me. Thanks everyone for listening. Enjoy Plymouth if you're going, and bye-bye for now.